Mr. Beaver. Bam, we're live. I don't know why I always send you the notes so late, Caleb. And I don't even put the YouTube links in there. I'm so sorry. Like half the YouTube links are missing. So it kind of fucks you. Okay, you thumbs up anyway? All right. Like, yeah, you don't give a fuck. Like, I got you. Used to dealing with your shit. Welcome to the show, Mr. Spin, the fastest news in the CrossFit space, most accurate, least talkative, and most enjoyable. What did they call him? The Ed Norton. He's the Ed Norton emoji. In the left-hand corner, we have Mr. J.R. Howell from CrossFit Crash, and the founder and creator of the Crucible. And then there's like a team version of that too. And then John Young. Okay. Staple. Just a staple. Just think of John as the staple.
Hey, I got the JY Barbell Club here, so I would like you to start saying that from now on when you introduce me.
No one can even see that. Why? What is that? What is the John Young Barbell?
That's right there.
Oh, okay, what is that? What is that?
It is for anybody that wants to be better at weightlifting. I coach people online and in person.
And you're strong?
I'm all right.
Hold on one second. JR, is he any good?
Yeah, he's strong.
Yeah? He knows what he's doing?
Yeah, he tested a potential Crucible workout for me.
No shit. Wow, throw that on your resume.
And he said that I beat Hopper by a minute.
That is not this.
That's good. Let's go with it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, premiering for you now. I bring to you the first peek ever of the Colton Mertens documentary, sponsored by Swolverine, our dear friend of the show, Colton Mertens. It looks like Swolverine and him have partnered again, and this is going to be really exciting. Look at that shit. I mean, that is not what I thought it looked like before we hit play on this. Did anyone think it looked like that at the Colton Mertens pig farm?
This looks sweet.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I thought it looked like.
Really?
Yes.
I expected more cornfields.
Just expected it to be disgusting. I mean, that's cool shit. That's why, JR, why do I have the South? Wait, where is he from? Iowa? Where is this? Why am I so?
Yeah, he's Iowa. I'm South Carolina, but that looks a lot like, I mean, South around Carolina. My house, like a lot of good greenery. Yeah.
Looks
you
like
think that was just a
country.
Disgusting pig farm, and then he just sprinkled some Swolverine powders on it, and it just fucking made it all some Swolverine creatine, and it made it look like that? Okay, let's play. Here we go. Hillsboro, Iowa.
I think we really have to start with this. Who is Colton Mertens? You know, who is he? Like, what's his story? Where does it start? You know, let's go from there.
The worst thing you can do is underestimate someone, because the moment you think you have me, you don't.
Why? Before I say, where the heck is Grunler? I didn't invite him this week. It's completely my fault. He deserves to be here. He's a badass, but shit, there's only room. I got to rotate him in. I got to rotate people in. JR probably wishes Grunler was here too, and he was sleeping. It's 9:30 for him. Okay. Why? There was a series mate, Gabby Magawa, great athlete, arguably significantly better than Colton Mertens, arguably significantly has a better chance to win the games. She does a series. It just can't get any fucking views, right? There's all other people out there putting out all this content that can't get any views. Why? What makes us want to see Colton Mertens? What the fuck is going on here? Why are we in Colton Mertens fantasy land? Why do we like him, JR?
Well, for me, he's easy to pull for because he's someone that people always will continuously stack the chips against, right? He's an underdog for a lot of people who are watching. And he's somebody who doesn't have a typical job, at least up to this point. He says he's cut back a lot of hours on the farm, but he's a working man, you know, and he spends every other hour of the day dedicated to his other craft, which is really cool.
Mr. Spin, why? What's the fascination here with Mr. Mertens? Why am I in love with the Mr. Mertens story?
JR said it well. I mean, when he was holding down a full-time job with working the farm, and then you have, so many of these workouts, you don't think that he's going to be able to hang with them, and he does. And then he hits the home runs on the workouts that do favor him. It's really cool to see. I mean, it's kind of like when Val Volberl was competing, right, as a teacher, and she's doing all of that with a full-time job and still hanging with him as a mom. Like, it's pretty cool to see. You know, it's one thing to work out in the gym 5-6 hours a day, and that's all you do. But for him, I mean, you just have to root for him.
Before John answers the question, let's get to some of the comments here. Halpin, where is Halpin? Said no one. No, we care where you are too. Mr. Halpin, you're a stud. Tyler Watkins, where's he? I mean, there's only so much room. Man of the people, says Kenneth DeLapp about Colton Mertens. Mason Mitchell, game recognized game. He says he's a man. Audrey, every girl wants to sit on his face. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Humble and underdog. Okay, I like it. Swolverine chimes in. Biased. They're paying for the documentary. Most athletes these days don't have full-time jobs or jobs they are that are labor intensive. Fair enough. So you think that's why we like him? John Young, why do we like him? Why are people going to watch this? What's the fascination we have here on the Sevan Podcast with Mr. Mertens?
I mean, he's the Rudy of CrossFit. If you've ever seen the movie Rudy, I mean, he's 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, and he gets to go to Madison and be one of the fittest guys in the world. Like, I think people look at Colton, especially people who want to compete, and think at first you see these monsters who do crazy things, and you're like, I'll never be able to do that. But then if you see Colton Mertens, you're like, if he's 5'4" and can compete with these guys, and not only compete but win events and be a home run hitter of the games, there's no reason that I can't if I put enough hard work in. I think he's relatable.
Ooh,
he is built to not be good at the CrossFit game. He's too small. He just is, and yet here he is.
Too harsh of a statement, JR. He's built not to be good. I mean, that's the biggest dig you could take.
Well, I think that he.
I'd say the same about Fikowski.
I think he's as much of an outlier, right, as the biggest athlete is.
No,
And
come on.
I think he is.
You think he's as big of an outlier as Fikowski?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't say that. No.
Thank you, Mr. Spin. Jesus Christ, these guys are
there are
drunk.
two
You put
guys
their wife beaters on and they think
games,
everything that
Jason
they
Hopper
think
and
is
Brent
true now.
Fikowski.
Maybe like
One
the
guy
Asia
was 5'4".
Barto.
Who's the next tallest guy?
Jelly.
At the CrossFit Games?
The jelly donut.
No. After Mertens, who's next?
Oh.
Who's the next shortest guy? You can't
I
say
don't know.
Matt Fraser. He's not there. That's
Who is
5'6".
Who is it?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Oh.
We don't know because there's no other person that's that short. Tetlow is right there with him, but he didn't make it.
Adjust your mic, Mr. Young, please.
Is it better?
I think it got a little bit better. Maybe pull your headset down just a little bit, elongate it just a little bit.
How about now?
Okay. Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Hey, Brian, how tall is Uldis? He's pretty short, right?
He is
5'7".
5'6".
Okay, so he's still
5'7".
not. He's still
That's
not close.
There's just a couple guys that are also around Fikowski's height that made it to the games this year. There's
Hopper's 6'2", Fikowski's 6'2", Vellner's 5'11", Roman's 6 foot. There's 3 inches to the next guy from Mertens. If
James
anything,
is
he's more of an
James is
outlier.
James is
James
6'3",
is 6'3".
right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Audrey, for the technical advice. Isaac's Snuts. Isaac D. Snuts. Isaac the Nuts. Is it exact? I haven't figured that one out yet.
I think it's Phil Toon.
Oh, Phil Toon. Thank you. What is that one? That's a joke one, right? Isaac the Nuts. I sacked the nuts. I sucked the nuts. I sacked the nuts. Isaac the Nuts. What is that one? Thank you. Thank you, Audrey. Here's the thing. Colton is 5'4".
I think it's just as simple as Isaac D's nuts, Sevan.
But then that doesn't even make sense. There's like a
I
joke.
know,
It's supposed to say something. It's supposed to say something funny, like I suck on nuts or something like that.
so.
Or no?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Isaac the Nuts. Fuck it. All right, $2. I wish I could say it right. $2 is a lot of money. Oh, I suck these nuts. Yeah, that's what I mean. Thank you. Thank you. I suck these nuts. I suck the nuts. stuck the snot. He's 5'4". You guys after 5. I think I looked it up one time. At 5'5", you're like in the 9% of the population is shorter than you. At 5'4".
Is that the world or America?
I think it's that's a good question. I can't remember. But I mean, dude, Colton does not see men smaller than him unless he's fucking like going to Guatemala. Racist. Lucky camera straps from Australia, $14.99. Consistent. I wish I could give you something in return. Still pretty relevant that Matt won 5 times in a row at 5'6". When did we last have a 6-foot+ winner?
We haven't.
We've never had one.
There's never been one.
I'm very much looking forward to the Swolverine movie. Congratulations, Colton. You're a fucking rock star. Thank you. I think it's the consensus is that you're every man's man. You're an underdog. You work hard. And as Tony Mertens says, oh, Colton has the biggest heart. Oh, you think that's his dad?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Mom? Tony can go both ways.
Enormous tits. Say my and love. Say my and love. Say my name and love. Enormous tits. Okay. Graham Holmberg may be the closest to 6 foot.
Yeah, probably 5'10".
Yeah. And I mean, after this year, we still won't because Patrick Vellner's only 5'11".
Sevan, did you secure Colton's coach's pass?
I have not. But I do think that there are some interesting things happening in my relationship with the games this year. And if you're a sponsor, as an Irishman would say, things are brewing. You should jump on board now. And thank you, California Peptides. I would. Okay. Next on the list, it looks like that there is a event called the Dirt City Classic. And
did you say dirt?
Dirt? Oh, Desert City, whatever. Desert City, all that matters is who's programming. The Desert City Classic is powered by a self-made training program. Our very own Wednesday night show, Taylor Self with JR Howell, and who joined them last week, Mr. Brian Friend, is doing the programming. What's up, JR? What is this? What's going on here? What's up?
Yeah, it's a competition that reached out to Taylor wanting some help with the program design. So we kind of all collaborated together on individual, team, yeah, all of it.
Fair enough. What city? When?
I think this is at ASU. I want to say at Arizona State University, but it is like maybe on their campus.
It's
Holy
a team,
shit!
right?
What's the date? What's the date of that?
If you go to their profile, I'm pretty sure it's listed there. Yeah.
Ooh. You know who will be in town in Arizona on November 10th and 11th?
You?
The founder of CrossFit, Greg Glassman.
Oh, that'd be cool to get him out there.
Yeah.
I wonder if they know about that.
If they're local people, if they're not I'm outers, they should definitely reach out to him. He's
so far
out.
I've been really, really easy to work with. So
awesome. Followed by Paper Street Coffee. All right. Brandon LaCroix. Oh no, Brandon Lecoq. Now that Dave is back, will we see Sevan in a different capacity this year at the games? The live last year was awesome, but in person is better, in my opinion. I cannot confirm or deny. Next up, we're cruising today. I love this. We're cruising today. Next up, Coffee Wads and Pods interviewed Ben Bergeron. It sucks when I think I hit a grand slam and I realized I only hit a home run. And Pedro, the Sevan Podcast European correspondent, then takes another shot at Ben Bergeron. And fuck, man, grand slam. Here we go.
Another thing on Sevan's show, you mentioned that Harry was deeply integral to ComTrain starting and growing and becoming what it was. When he decided to leave, do you mourn that?
No, Harry was one of my closest friends, and he wanted to try something. He was either going to go and become a firefighter. He was going to go back to school. So he was kind of trying to figure out what's next in his career. He ended up just taking a fair amount of time off before finding what was next. One of my very closest friends no longer working for me. Of course, there's this moment of like, not mourning, but loss. There's a space that probably won't ever be filled, but also super happy for the next evolution of what he wants to take in his own career and personal life.
When he joined HWPO though, were you like, God damn it?
Mixed emotions. So A, that's kind of weird. But B, I hope that he can find a lot of satisfaction, and I hope that he's taken the time to know this is the right next move.
Do you mean weird as in, oh, that's weird, I thought that that this wasn't the thing for you, but now
Yes.
you're back? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Friendship. Oh, friendship is something interesting, isn't it? JR, you build something with a friend, and Harry and Ben were friends, and I know it's not marriage, but then he goes up to HWPO, and then not only does he go up there, but Amanda Barnhart goes up there, Katrin goes up there. Who else went up there? Other athletes. Quant went up there, who were all former comp train athletes. Any thoughts? Anything you want to chime in, JR? Like Ben, great job. Really,
No,
really
I would.
transparent of you, or Ben, fuck man, you fucked up and dropped the ball and lost your guys, or what's your thoughts on this?
No, I can actually relate this to something that conversations I've had with my coaches. Believe it or not, I've told all of them, hey, listen, there's a lot of people to go around. There's a lot of people to do CrossFit. If you guys ever just decided that you wanted something of your own, you wanted your own gym, just come to me and tell me. Like, straight up, I've told them that, and good luck. So like for me, if I were in Ben's shoes, I would have just wanted a friend or a coach to just come to me and say, hey, listen, I got this great opportunity to go work with these other people, and I'm excited about taking it. That would hurt, but it would be way easier to swallow, I think, maybe than the situation that transpired here.
What about Jason Hopper trained with you, and then he went to HWPO? Did that hurt?
No, not at all. He was always with them, right? Like
he
Jake
was.
Yeah, Jake and Matt were always his coaches. He was.
I mean,
just
he had a crush on Matt the first day he saw him.
He was just training at Crash. Like I was, I was just his home gym that he trained at. But he was always their athlete as far as program design and all that stuff goes.
All right, Mr. Spin, thoughts on Comp Train and Ben Bergeron kind of doing this tour and making himself vulnerable and kind of spilling the beans.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that. Like, I mean, he's always been, I think, fairly open, or tried to be open at times. As things have happened, it's all being a personal accountability and just how he talks about the mindset and all that stuff. For him to kind of share that, I mean, I think a lot of people in the space wouldn't be that open with it. But like, even I think he said on your show that he was kind of went the wrong direction, right? Like he kind of miscalculated where the sport was going and kind of got thrown a curveball. And he's recalibrating. So it's good to hear that, he's actually going to be open with us versus a lot of people I don't think would ever open themselves up and be that vulnerable to, criticism.
John, same question, but kind of to add on what Spin was saying. Well, fuck us. Who cares? What's it do for his brand? Do athletes are like, wow, Ben's really cool, I want to go up there. Like, I get it. This is, or they, fuck, this guy's a pussy. He dropped the ball and now he's fucking sharing his dirty laundry.
I mean, I don't think athletes are thinking anything of it because it's not his anymore. He's giving it to Cole.
All right.
I almost feel like he's giving Cole a failing business. I do think it's nice. I have a lot of respect for Ben, that he is very open. Like, I'm messed this up. It was flourishing and we tried to do this and we failed, and now we're trying to fix it. But he's leaving. So like he's being very open. But then he's just giving it to Cole. And I mean, I hope all the best for Cole, but man, I feel like it's going to be hard to turn it around, or at least get back to where it was. I don't see that in the future.
Judy Reed expressing my sentiments. Also, Sevan's show with Bergeron was so good. Thank you. I agree. He won back a ton of people. I think being so vulnerable and honest. Yep. Kudos to Pedro for 2 follow-up questions for just really drilling down and getting clarity and depth on the situation.
Plus, Sevan,
please.
If you were an elite athlete, would you want to be coached by Cole Sager? Who's also currently still an elite athlete, and said on the podcast, I'm going to coach you, but I'm still going to try to beat you. Why would that make you want to go to comp train?
I've only spoken with Cole a handful of times, and these are my thoughts on Cole. Extremely kind, extremely pleasant, extremely professional. And by professional means like I never felt like I ever really connected with him. But I felt but I really liked them. But I always felt like that there was a veneer or an air of like professional to him, like over properness for me. And so I don't know. I can't speak to him, but I mean, he's a class act. You know what I mean? I mean, I think he's the kind of guy who fucking holds it. No woman ever walks in a door behind this dude. You know what I mean? He's been to the games 10 times. If you walk in the room, Cole stands up. He shakes your hands. He's nice to kids. You know what I mean? He doesn't kick dogs. I mean, fuck, I got like, so I don't know. I can't answer the,
Does any of those things make you a good coach, though?
No, but I don't know. I mean, you seem to have. You guys would know better than me. I don't know, but I guess in terms of his values, he seems hard worker, committed.
I don't doubt that he's not going to give his fullest.
Right.
I don't know. I just would rather get like Matt's not competing anymore, so it's a little different with him. But like, I don't know. You take like somebody like Nick Fowler and Roman. I know they're not together anymore, but I would rather get coached by Nick than Roman. I would rather get coached by Michelle Letendre than Bellner.
Oh,
like it's.
I see what you're saying.
I think certain people make amazing
So your big
coaches.
hangout with Cole is like, hey, you're divided. You got kids at home. You're a games athlete, and you're gonna fucking coach me.
It's a different beast. It's different.
Right. What about Froning?
He doesn't coach.
All right, fair enough. Okay.
Facundo's running that stuff, isn't he?
They have a whole crew.
They have a lineup of coaches. Yeah. I'd rather get coached by Shane than Tia. You know what I mean? Even though Tia's the one that's doing it, like and Shane's not an elite athlete at all, but it's a different thing.
I think a lot of people would like to be coached by Shane. You guys agree?
Yeah, I think he's good. Yeah. I did find out and see that Sydney's been getting specific weightlifting training by a guy here in Nashville.
Who is?
I think it's like Nashville weightlifting. I think
who's getting Tia's getting the training from
Sydney.
Her?
Sydney Wells.
Oh,
yeah. She has some videos on Nashville weightlifting.
Jeremy World, Michael. I don't know where this fits in, but Michael Jordan would have never wanted to be coached by Charles Barkley.
I don't think Michael Jordan wanted to be coached by anybody.
Golf Foxtrot Yankee. I did not have an appetite for nothing burgers this evening. Don't worry, we're not serving any. So there, just serving gack and balls. Okay. I want to talk. I want to talk about the doc. I'm not sure what that YouTube link is. I want to say one more thing about the doc here. What video? What have I linked you to? Is there a time code on that? Oh, is this just the what is this? Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you. So, of all the comments I saw in the documentary, there was a documentary that was released a couple weeks ago, an enormously missed opportunity by CrossFit. We beat, I don't think it ever went. I don't know if it ever reached #1 on the movies, but every time CrossFit releases anything on iTunes, if it's promoted even at all halfway decently, it'll reach #1 on iTunes, and it will be a win for affiliates worldwide, because there's 700 million Apple TVs that have been sold worldwide. And when people click on that movie icon, they'll see the CrossFit movie. Whether they click it or not, what it does is it adds brand value. People want to be with winners. Even if you hate CrossFit, you'll even be like, fuck, those fuckers are at #1 again. And it could stay on that homepage for 10 weeks if it's promoted properly. But it was not. And then the movie came out, and people were saying there were a lot of positive things, but people were saying some negative things, and I want to address a couple of them. People were saying that it was the same thing that it was every year. Well, for starters, Mariah Moore was on this show, and she was on Talking Elite Fitness, and she was only allowed, she was only given 3 weeks notice, I think, before she had to make this movie. She had an extremely limited budget, and I thought it was a fucking miracle, and I thought the shooting and editing and audio and everything was stunning and top-notch and beyond professional. On top of that, it's an hour and 40 minutes, and people are upset that there were things left out, like Rebecca Fuselier at the Capitol event. Now, I get it. It's not that, but please be careful with what you write. Hey, this movie's stupid because it didn't include. It's an hour and 40 minutes. If you want to see that stuff, what they could have done, what they should have done, is they should have put that in the iTunes extra. Hamilton Road, Charlie Doobie's company, made some amazing fucking content called, was it Miles to Madison?
Mm-hmm.
And in that, there's a whole episode where it's the Capitol event, and they could have put that in the extras in iTunes. Or someone could have told Mariah, hey, let's make this a 3 1-hour movies. Let's make this a miniseries. She probably didn't have that latitude. So just be careful with the criticism you guys put in here if you want to help forward things and get movies like this being made. All your negativity is going to get it killed, and we're going to fucking lose everything. For example, don't be the jackass who orders something from Amazon and gives it a 1-star because it arrives damaged. We don't give a fuck that it arrives damaged. We're not reading the reviews to find out how it arrived.
I think what I see happen, and Mariah said it when she was talking to you, was they got input from the athletes. It sounds like CrossFit had multiple layers giving input of pulling stuff out what they didn't want to see, and she was hamstrung from what she could produce.
Yeah, that sucks too, right? It reduces the drama, the tension, the stuff that could be controversial.
Right.
And I don't think athletes should be allowed to do that unless it's like personal. For instance, I bet
you had a
Tia
tit fall out or something, or like
yeah. But like so, say I bet Tia would have pulled from 2016 when she was looking all mopey and telling the camera person to not film her because she was in the leader's jersey in the 2016 documentary. I bet she would have wanted that taken out if she had the option. And we would have never gotten to see that and the change of personalities that we see today.
Or how about the footage in the 1 year in the documentary that I captured that shows Benny handing Ricky a vial of something as they go into the final event?
They would have definitely wanted that taken out.
Ricky didn't want that shit in there. I mean, even if it was nothing, it's like...
Right.
Like I think those things need to be as raw as possible.
Okay. Anyone else? JR, you want to say anything about the documentary?
Well, I was actually going to say I just started watching it today, and I'm exactly halfway through it. So a unique perspective that I have about it, just only listening to what you guys have said after seeing the whole thing, knowing now that people requested certain things to be taken out and she was given a really short amount of time, I guess I'm not surprised and am enjoying the fact that it really is just like a recap of the week. Who was leading after which event, who was still in the running, and not like the random other person whose strap broke on their jerry can when they went to pick it up, right? Like just something silly like that. Like little tidbits of people that maybe aren't as relevant to the leaderboard were definitely left out. And now I know at this point I'm probably not going to get any of that. And that's okay, because there is a lot of consistency and congruency from at least beginning to middle. I kind of know what it is now, and I know what to expect moving forward watching it. From
a fan standpoint, I think it'll be more appreciated like 2 or 3 years from now, when you just want to remember what happened. You know what I mean? The story and who was in the lead and all that stuff, without like looking on YouTube and watching 15 events. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I mean, to pull what they had with Mal and Matt about not, having to rein her in and how she just wants to keep going, and they cut that into just the best part. I guarantee if that would have gone from instead of a minute to 3 minutes, like you have a better appreciation for what was there.
You mean extend that portion, give us even more insight into Mal and Fraser? Yeah, that part was intense.
And like if she said something about Roman, and I don't know what he was saying about it sounds like Russia or something like that. Like those small little things. I mean, it could have just been Mal and Matt, what Roman said, giving a more look of whatever Tia had said and had pulled. Like just those 3 sections could have changed my personal view of what I was able to take away from that documentary.
What about the part when, what did you think about the parts? And I didn't mean to get this deep into the doc, but what did you think about the part when Tia looks at Shane and says, I'm doing this for me? The final workout, she's basically talking about how she's not going to win the event, but she's going to fucking take a few deep breaths and look around. That was fucking intense. It looked like there was something there to unpack also. Like her and Shane had something, there was something there.
Oh, it was so different from how she started the documentary and her attitude and persona to what you saw at the very end of the competition.
Yeah,
and
she
all
had
those
some
interviews
mood
were
swings
and
throughout
all those
the-
interviews were done the day after, right? So she had 12, 18 hours after that kind of show of emotion to then saying she's the most dominant and, you know, this tough attitude that nobody can ever beat her. But I don't think you've ever really seen that emotional side of her. Like you've seen the quiet, I can't win side, but the emotive side you've never seen on the competition floor or, before that.
I was agnostic on her going into the documentary. I didn't like her or dislike her. I just didn't. She's just kind of like a plain Jane to me. It's just a champ, kind of like a robot. And then by the end of the documentary, I really liked her. Like it made me really want to see her compete again.
You know who I was surprised was super emotional like the whole time was Matt Fraser.
That was
cried
great. Look at Matt
like
too.
7 times in the documentary.
Dude, he looked like he hadn't slept in a month. He didn't even look like himself. Yeah, I enjoyed Fraser in the doc for sure. The peek at him.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Camera Straps just throwing out the loot today. And thank you for my mouse pad. It's been a while since I still smells like dead cow. I love that. It definitely could be longer or even a series. Would love to hear your thoughts on what made the old doc so special. Buttery Bros plus Mariah plus Sevan behind the scenes equals that secret sauce for sure. There was another dude there too, who's the only guy I ever fired at CrossFit before the mass slaughtering, named Ian Wittenberg, and he was a fucking beast. That guy was fucking good. He actually edited the doc this year with Mariah. He was so fucking good. So basically, they had this crazy team: Mariah Moore, Heber, Marsden, Ian. And then they had Torrance Simpson, won a bunch of Emmys, worked with the Raiders and the 49ers. They had their team was crazy. And then I don't think they relied on my behind the scenes much. They had access to all that footage, and I think they use some of it now and again, but maybe just a year or two.
I think your behind the scenes added some extra context that the documentary didn't have to do. Right. Or you had that context that you could then apply to the documentary. It felt like occasionally they were trying to do a couple behind the scenes discussions that were mixed into the documentary.
Yeah.
Versus when you got to see what you captured behind the scenes and then you go watch the documentary, you could draw upon things that they had talked about separately and added more color to what was said in the documentary.
You're not going to get in a documentary a 10-minute exchange between Travis Mayer and Brooke Wells. You're just not. They can't do that. You can't just leave 10 minutes of just them stretching and playing with rubber bands and making fun of Travis Mayer's Instagram following. But in the behind the scenes, you can. It's fucking 7 parts that are an hour long each. It's like, fuck.
That's their favorite things to watch, are those small, stupid things.
Right. All right. Anyway, go out and get the documentary. Great stuff. And thank you, Lucky. Thank you. Okay. A video came out by Patrick Vellner and Fikowski about the PFAA. And I have to tell you, for some reason, I have it's the Professional Fitness. Anyone?
Athletes Association.
Oh, Professional Fitness Athletes Association?
Yes.
Okay. And I watched this video twice, believe it or not. It's weird to say that. I'm embarrassed. But the first time I was like really annoyed, and the second time I was less annoyed. But but basically they're an organization that's they say their primary purpose in their current state, in their infancy, they admit they're in their infancy, is to hold on, I have it here in my notes. Here we go. Where is it? Fairness and safety. Fairness and safety they're in their infancy, and their two biggest things are fairness and safety. And they're currently working on pull-up bars. They want to find a good pull-up bar height that works for everyone and make sure risers are available and whatnot. But there's shit in there that just kind of fucking let's play 240. Let's play like 20 seconds at 240. PFAA has they claim they've done something, and I just don't think they've done anything. Really, what I think they are is they're kind of like the DEI council. I think that CrossFit gave them sort of their own little space just to kind of appease them. Do you know what I mean? But they're actually not going to have any effect. And the reason why they're not going to have any effect is because golf last year sold $10 billion in golf balls. That's not in golf carts. That's not in golf clubs. That's not in like, that's just balls. 10 billion in balls. Like, to put it in perspective, tennis in 2021 sold $34 billion in tennis ball machines. Imagine that. Tennis ball machines. And they're trying to compare CrossFit to these types of sports, and I just don't think we're anywhere near there. Okay, let's play a little bit of this. Hopefully they won't get angry. I think this is Royce Dunn, by the way, in Australia. They cut back and forth between Royce's presentation and Patrick Vellner and Fikowski's presentation. Okay, here we go. Action.
The players, the athletes, there's no sport. To have their say and to have kind of their perspective taken into consideration, which I think CrossFit is famously known for being a bit bullheaded in that way.
Pause.
Kind of our way or the highway.
I don't like that. I'm already defensive. You're telling me that CrossFit used to be a bit bullheaded. It's our way or the highway. It's like, dude, like my wife's in the kitchen, like making a fucking roast beef, and like I need to stay out of the kitchen and just let her make it. Thoughts, JR? You think CrossFit's bullheaded or what?
I think as an athlete, if you're speaking from past personal experiences, that's okay.
Okay.
Those are your own. So that's, yeah. I think that's
okay. So he thinks, so Royce thinks that they've been a bit bullheaded in the past.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And how do you interpret a bullheaded spin? What do you think that is? Not accepting feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they would say, that their concerns were not heard in the past. My thought, though, is when you have, 100 different voices screaming at you, how do you pick which ones you need to listen to? Like, there wasn't ever a concise message that focused on the most important things. Like, every athlete probably had a different thing to say, and it may have felt like they weren't listening because yours wasn't being heard, but somebody else's may have been.
Yeah, there's a little bit of whininess in your, not from you, but that explanation is how I understand too. And there's a little bit of whininess there that's irritating me. Mr. Young, thoughts on the PFAA?
Do they not? Is Brent not like the speaker though? Do they not have like one guy that brings up the?
He's the guy
everybody wants.
Yeah, Brent is the guy. They take, like, he says somewhere in there that they're going to do a survey at the games and find out what types of things the athletes are interested in, and they're going to bring that to CrossFit. And when he kind of presents it like that, I'm like, okay. But you know what else they say in here? They say, play at 558. Basically, they're claiming that the athletes know what's needed, and I would argue that the athletes are the least relevant in what's needed. Okay, here we go. Action.
You put your head down, you show up to the next one, and unfortunately, often the same mistakes repeat. We know what the sport needs more than a lot of other people. There's also, we coordinate and speak with major organizations that organize competitions, but they're not on the floor a lot of the times, right? And you can program a workout, you can test a workout 9 ways till Sunday, and unpredictable things happen because we're trying to game it. We're trying to gain an advantage. And, oftentimes the athlete's eye and vision is better than even the organizers, right? So
okay, pause. I couldn't disagree more. I think that if growth is the goal, the athlete's opinion matters the least. Mr. Young, thoughts on that?
For what specifically?
What do I care if the athletes want runners? What do I care about the pull-up height that they want if my goal is growth? If my goal is growth, like I feel like they have the least insightful input, period. I believe that I believe if you brought your grandmother, John, her opinion would be more important than those guys or anyone sitting in the audience. I really do. I think that their opinion matters the least.
I don't disagree completely with what you're saying. I do think their opinion matters a little bit, though.
Yeah. I think it matters a little bit too.
And for instance, like the grip thing, and I know we'll talk about that a little bit later, but like the rule book they got sent with the grips, right? I think the athlete should be like, this is ridiculous. 35 out of 40 of us have signed this thing that says this is stupid, take it out. And CrossFit should respect that and take it out.
I want to think about that spin. What do you think about that? Fuck, John Young just fucked me up a little bit. Threw a fucking hand grenade and then rolled my window up. Asshole.
I agree with what John said. I think they need to have a voice. I don't think CrossFit should do everything that the athletes say, but if there's a consensus that something needs to change or something is, like the grip situation, like if they're all saying this is crazy, then CrossFit should probably listen to them, but they should probably do that before they go out and share the standards. Like it should be published, and then the PFAA has to react to it and say, no, let's go backtrack. Like
it's unfair that you're using this as an example because you're just right off the bat. That was just anyway. Thoughts, JR, on this, on what John said? Athletes should get to decide, vote, and be like, hey, we want grips and length shouldn't matter, or let's get rid of grips. I mean, if I was Dave right there, I'd just get rid of grips. I'd have been like, hey, sorry about the mistake. No grips allowed.
No, I was just going to backtrack to your initial question.
Okay.
And comment, like you kind of are in the camp that they're all just dance monkeys and that like they just need to be performing and it doesn't matter who they are. They're all expendable, which I don't agree with at all. I think for growth, you need the superstars. And if you want the same people to stick around year after year after year, something like this needs to be a part of the sport.
Fair enough. All right. And what do you think they should do? Do you think they should give me an example of something that you think they should be doing? You like what they're doing then? Fairness and safety. You like those two issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are two really, really, really important things. I think going into a competition, knowing that my lane and my equipment and my distance from object 1 to 2 to 3 is the same as everyone else's, that kind of stuff is really important when you're competing. And then knowing that you're not going to be put in harm's way intentionally, right, to end your career. So I think those two things are definitely at the top of the list. I really don't mind that it's head by two people that are still actively competing. I actually think that's a plus because they are sitting in briefings. They're a part of communication with things changing during competitions, all that kind of stuff. So they can use that stuff to say, hey, this happened here. I think in the future, this is probably not the best plan. This is the feedback we got from athletes in the warm-up area. This is the feedback we got from their coaches after the competition, all that kind of stuff. I think having someone in the fight while it's relevant is very important.
I agree completely with that.
I think it would be beneficial to them to also bring in some former athletes who are not tied to the sport anymore, that aren't coaching.
Oh God, I want to throw up, Brian.
No, just I'm just thinking of the PFAA, right? Like get some other perspective of people that have been there that don't have anything,
like
don't have any skin in the game right now. Like maybe, Hepner still coaches, I think, some people, I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, just to get a different perspective, if you're outside the sport, you've competed, you understand what they're saying. Maybe you have a better perspective now that you're out of the sport.
Sevan, do you think Josh would have some strong thoughts about a lot of the issues and stuff? Like making sure, making
Bridges?
sure that, making, like, if Brent was like, hey, I can always grab the pull-up bar standing flat-footed and I can't even kip. Do you think Josh would be like, yeah, that's messed up. We should probably get that raised?
I don't know, but I do agree with that. I do agree. Like it's fucking asinine what happened to Scott Panchek, that the ropes were on the ground. It was asinine that Laura and Gabby McGawa sold their souls and the fucking wrong weight was on the bar. It's asinine that Matt DeLugos has to worry about hitting his feet and breaking his fucking back doing kipping pull-ups. Yeah, I think those things are asinine.
Like Josh just seems though like also like someone that if he was a part of this group and maybe disagreed with the opinions of others, he would also be sure of himself to speak up and say, nah, I think you guys are just whining about that. I don't think that's a big deal at all.
Yeah, like comfortable going against the grain.
Oh, maybe you guys have won my heart a little bit. Okay. PFAA, Fikowski and Vellner and Royce Dunn. Jeez Louise, I worked so hard not to say that. I would give you guys this little bit of advice. This is what I would give the PFAA and feedback in the video. One, befriend Hiller. He is the most powerful voice in the space when it comes to probably changing what you guys get to do, what you don't get to do. I think he plays a significant role in that. Embrace Hiller. Lean into him. Number two, in the video where Royce Dunn. Fuck. Why is that? Is that hard for anyone else? Royce Dunn finishes talking. It's a good presentation that Royce Dunn gives, and it just shows the people, all the athletes stand up and look at their phones and walk away. If you want your closing shot, should be the athletes like shaking Patrick's hands and Fikowski's hands and hugging Royce Dunn, and not giving a fuck. That, I'm telling you, those little things will really matter, because it really looks like no one gives a shit except the presenters if you watch this video. And I was picking up on that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Mike Halpin, I was booted from Sevan's text message thread, not a YouTube chat, for having a differing opinion. That being said, no one here booted me. Oh, geez. I Googled. Where's Sevan getting these numbers? I Googled. From your mom, Mason. All right, I'm so far behind in the chat. Booted. He was booted. I don't know. Was he booted? God, that was pretty funny. You ever seen a fight in a chat?
I come to my phone sometimes and there are 84 text messages and I'm just like, what has happened now?
I couldn't believe it. I was live in the show and I just saw I thought I saw Halpin leave. And then I was like, uh-oh. And then I saw someone booted him. Okay. I think you were booted on accident, Greg. Okay. It was weird. I don't know what to do about that. I kind of was like, I hope no one ever boots me. Okay. Oh, one more thing. At 9:49, I do want to say this. Sorry, Caleb, can you bring up the video at 9:49? Patrick Vellner says, ready? Hey, look, Caleb never believes me. Watch, he'll go before 9:49. He never believes me. He's been damaged from that Frisbee show we did. I fucked them all up. Okay, here we go.
Idea of what we're doing and like who we are and how this has progressed. We kind of started in 2020 when there was a bit of that blackout around the 2020 games. COVID hit, Glassman was booted. There was all kinds of stuff going on.
Okay. First of all, it wasn't COVID that hit. It was the reaction people had to COVID, the morons on the planet. And second of all, Greg Glassman was not booted. It's like, just be accurate with that. Greg Glassman was not booted. He sold, what did you call them? Dancing monkeys, JR? I viewed them as dancing. He sold the dancing monkeys and got a house on the lake. Barry McCockiner, $2. Hello, John Young. How are you?
Hello, Barry.
Teddy Williams, the professional and personal, that's what I meant, personal videographer and propagandist for the great Colton Mertens. Brooke Lakey, I think that's the dude that's Katrin Banks, was on the NHL Players Union for 14 years during his career and was one of the main leaders during the last lockout. It seemed like it wasted opportunity not getting him more involved. Oh, you mean with the yeah, you might be right, but sometimes it's like you're bringing, like, you don't want to bring a mallet somewhere where you just need like a tiny little rubber mallet. You know what I mean? You don't want to bring like a fucking sledgehammer where you just need a little tiny finishing nail hammer. You know what I mean? You could really piss some people off.
Yeah.
Barry McCockiner, thank you for no more disc golf as well. You're welcome. I don't know if it's gone forever. Jeremy World, I'll throw in my hat to replace Halpin in that chat. Sounds like it needs some diversity anyways. I don't think we have any black guys. I'll check. Okay.
Are you trying to think through it?
Here's the thing. I think that group's only going to get smaller. I'm just kind of, it's like going to be like just everyone's going to get kicked out until there's just 2 dudes left. Okay. Is there anything you guys want to say about the, oh, let me do this real quick. We're on a roll. Let's look at that drug video. This is from the Barbell Spin, Brian Spin's Instagram account. It looks like someone popped for drugs. It's fine. It's like no big deal. Just a team person, right?
Yeah. I mean, they finished 12th, I think, out of North America West. So they were out of contention anyway. But yeah, they only test 2 athletes of the teams. And so what I was told is Dylan and this athlete, Alyssa, were the 2 tested on the team. So another GW 501516.
Wow, Spin.
So
only killer.
I know he trained me well. So it's the second one with that being failed test this year. But we've only gotten 2, I think, from semifinals so far. A way less than last year. So we'll see. We're running out of time.
This would have been the second week, right?
This was week 2, yes.
So if it's only 2 out of 2 weeks, I think that's much better than last year.
Who is the other one? Any individuals pop yet?
No, it was the team in Africa that had won, that Mayhem team.
Oh, no old guys have popped?
There was a Masters athlete, that woman that tested positive back during the Open she didn't test positive. She was a no-show.
Oh, okay.
But
that's right. That was an interesting one too. That one was weird, right? She wasn't even in the testing pool. Well, she was, but she wasn't.
Right. I mean, you're in it because you did the Open, but somebody I think had done the contacted CrossFit anonymously, and they went out into tester.
Kenneth DeLab, why are the Canadians in charge of the PFAA? Because organizations like that play the victim, and that's part of our friends in the North primary role on planet Earth, is to play the victim. That'd be my guess. Anyone else want to take a shot at that? John Young, how is that GW1516? Is that shit pretty good? Work pretty good?
Yeah, my running's improving amazingly. Let me tell you.
Extra sloppy. I spent $150 on disc golf stuff today. Ask Brian. JR, have you played any disc golf now that Brian's living in your hood?
I have not. I haven't seen him since he's been here.
Oh.
He's about an hour and a half away still.
Okay. Enormous tits. How much of my 401k do I have to donate for no flat earther? Holy shit. Really? Come on. Don't be so close-minded. Flat Earther show is going to be great. Watch the doc. Watch the doc and tell me. Watch the doc. Okay. Here we go. Back to the show. Let's talk before we go to some training think tank video that I would like to show you guys. Let's talk. Oh, let me do one more thing here. Sorry. PFAA done. I want to show you something about Laura Horvath. Really quick. Drug video. Can we go to CrossFit Krypton's YouTube page? I didn't give you a link. Sorry, Caleb. And let's go to 110. She talks. She has a brief comment here about who her coach is. Speaking of coaches, her coach is not Cole Sager.
Laura Horvath?
Yeah.
Isn't Ben Smith her coach?
Well, let's see. Let's see. Have you ever heard her talk about that before? Here we go. Let's go to, yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, here we go. CrossFit Krypton, the great Ben Smith, former CrossFit Games champion. Here we go.
First couple is going to be row and bench. We're going to do that one on this rig. Okay, so the bench will be set up on this rig. We'll have the second one. It'll be biker. All I want you guys to do is do some good pulling. And we'll keep your benches off.
Isn't it at 110? Did I fuck that up?
No, not at 110.
Oh, it's not at 110?
Is this
Oh,
the right
son
video?
of a...
Is that
What?
1010?
Ben Smith, let me see. Go to their homepage. Let me see. Sorry. Training camp day. Training camp day one with. Oh, she's back. Sorry, she's back. She's back. Try at 110 there. Dude, Ben, that's a horrible angle for you. Don't stand like that on camera, by the way. Jesus Christ. Let's see. Here we go. Action. If this isn't it, I'll just tell you what I heard her say. Oh, this is. Crap. Okay, let me go back to their homepage again. My goodness, I'm so sorry. At least Brian shouldn't feel bad. This is exactly how I treated the golf show. Let me see. Well, shit. That was a great clip. I wonder if my fat finger hit it, and I just put it if it's 210 or 310 or 1010. Anyway, Laura Horvath says, Ben is a coach, but Ben's my coach, but I'm in charge. And she said it's not the typical coach, the relationship between a coach and an athlete. She also says she likes, this is my favorite part, she likes Virginia and that she thinks she's adapted to it. And that when she originally came there, if someone would have said to her, referred to her as honey, JR can relate to this, being from the South. Hey, honey, thank you, honey. She would have given him the stink eye, but now she's kind of adapted and she's okay with it, which makes me think she's ready to come back on the show.
I don't know how you couldn't draw the line between those two things.
Thank you. JR has spoken. Laura, you're welcome to come to the show. Do you guys have any thoughts on Laura Horvath? Like, we always talk about coaching this. You need a coach. You need to belong to a team. Sarah Sigmund's daughter was on yesterday, and she said she's had 5 different coaches. Laura's just doing her thing and kicking ass.
The opposite. The people who tend to stick with one person or are by themselves tend to be the most successful.
Froning, Tia, Matt.
Well, I mean, I'm even thinking about people competing now. Like Medeiros has been with Adam, and that's it. Vellner has always been just him. Fikowski, I mean, with Latondra, but just him training.
Yeah.
Fikowski.
Yeah. What about Ben Smith and Graham Holmberg back in the day?
They were by themselves, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mean, 2015 people had coaches, but
Annie Thor's daughter, even if she had a coach, still her own thing.
Always been at CrossFit Reykjavik.
Ben was Chris's coach, right? When he was competing.
Ben Bergeron was Chris Spieler's coach. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the first coach to athlete ever in the CrossFit, like big known. Hey, we're
I said that on this show, and like people reached out to me and they're like, no, Doug Chapman was coaching so-and-so. And I got all these people reaching out to me. Austin Bijibing was coaching Jason Khalipa. And I was like, yo. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Doug was coaching Julie Fouché.
Yeah. Okay. Mike Halpin, Ariel Lowen is her own coach.
This year. Yeah.
And last year, right? And kicking ass.
No, she had somebody that was giving her stuff, but she would always.
This is her first year programming for herself.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the hand grips. Anyone want to talk about the hand grips? There was if we can go to Dallin Pepper's Instagram account. Basically, they said you cannot. Who wants to talk? Who wants to describe the situation? JR, you want to describe the situation? What happened? What caused all the hullabaloo?
Yeah, I can try. What basically the discrepancy is that the check mark yes picture and the X no picture are really just the picture, the picture on the right is basically the picture on the left when you put your grips on top of a pull-up bar. And that's what people are so up in arms about. That just because the grip doesn't come past the middle finger when you're holding them out straight, when you throw them over a pull-up bar, it still looks like that.
Meaning the grips on the left and right are probably just the fucking same grips. Nothing's different.
They both
So
say
that-
bear complex too.
They're very similar.
So wow, they didn't even like try to fake it and cut the top ones or anything.
No.
So
And like they need it to be like if that's what they want, they need to show a good example of them on the bar, the way they have that other picture. You can't have two different hand placements and say this one's good, this one's not.
Well, or they just show two of the same picture. So they show a pair of orange Bear Complex grips that don't come past the finger, and then next to it they show a picture of ones that do.
Yeah.
And then say yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean,
is everyone following that? Basically, if you're listening at home and you can't see it, there's a length that they want to limit the length of the grips, and the pictures, which is fine if they want to do that, but the pictures make it so that what they're saying makes no sense. One of the pictures actually shows the grip going 5 inches past the fingers, and the other one shows it short of the fingers, and it's just confusing as fuck.
And
Who
Dallin
uses
shows
grips?
that.
Why are they even? Go ahead, Spin. Sorry.
And Dallin shows that he has the same pair of grips on the video to the right. He'll show that he's wearing basically the same grips, look like the good.
So like that one's good.
Yeah. And then he wraps it
same
around.
grips. This one's bad, but they're the exact same thing.
Can we pull out a little bit, Caleb, and is that and look at that a little wider?
Yeah.
And I think maybe Victor from Victory Grips made a video about what would happen if you cut your grips to that specific length.
And then you're basically ripping your hands.
Does the champ use grips? Does Justin Medeiros use grips?
Everybody uses grips.
Why? They really
Like
help.
Cole
What do they
Sager
do?
does not use grips. That's one guy that doesn't. Do you know anybody else
Thank
that
you,
doesn't?
Cole. Yeah, I would train with Cole then. I would change my answer. 100% I'll train with him.
Do you
throw
guys-
the fucking grips out? Please throw the grips out. JR, get rid of the grips altogether.
I've heard people hypothesize that they think Boz will make them do a workout with no grips this year.
Oh, just spring it on them. No grips. Good.
Yeah. And
I mean,
what like
good.
the way my mind works when I see this picture is not why can't you use this? Why can't you use this? It's what's the reason?
Mhm.
So my mind goes to, okay, something's going to be at the games where that kind of grip advantage is going to really, really, really cause performance that maybe really isn't consistent with anything other than the kind of grip they had. So like my mind goes to, and I don't want to get into prediction stuff, but if there's a thick pull-up bar, if they have to do bar muscle-ups on a yoke bar, like similar to the log bar muscle-ups at Rogue, or if there was a pull-up bar that rotated, if you had a grip that could wrap around it that much, you could create enough torque to where that grip limiting fatigue wouldn't be a factor. And if you don't have those grips, similarly to if you don't have a beaded jump rope made for double under crossovers, when they get announced at the games, you're at a big disadvantage. That's kind of
Shouldn't
where
they
my
not
brain
just all
goes.
just give them a pair of grips and say everybody has to use these grips?
Well, you would think they have a grip partner.
But
this
that's
year.
what I'm saying. Just everybody got there and sized them for grips. This is what you're working with, and then that
Right.
defeats anything that rule book wants to say. It's
Yeah,
the
and
CrossFit
like-
games is grips.
Right. And outside of trying to think of why the reason is, like, if I were any of the athletes, I would be buying grips with holes, and I would just be learning how to use the ones with finger holes that no one buys anymore. Most
Why?
people
What's the
don't use.
difference? Well, first of all, let me ask you,
Wait,
what are
and put your fingers in them? You're saying?
Right, because this rule
yeah,
would be
yeah, yeah.
moot. Yeah.
But didn't they say that if you have
Oh.
the finger, you have to actually use the finger holes if
Correct.
you
That's what he's
have
saying. is
them.
then
Yeah, that's what
that
I'm saying. I would
defeats-
buy them and learn how to start using them.
You're right. I mean, it's just going to sway people to just using the finger holes again. That's just how everybody's going to wear them.
But I think they clarified though that the correct picture was what they're going to judge. Like if they are walking onto the floor, they're going to, check to make sure they're not, wearing
So are they
double
going to
XL.
no rep you when you're actually doing it and it's over the bar?
Well, I mean, I would assume that it's just as you're walking out, or they do a check in the corral if you have the right length. And I don't know if I like giving them all the same, like whether it's Bear Complex or whatever, because if you've been using Victory grips or what, any of the other ones, and then you're forced to use something else, that's going to be a disadvantage.
They had to wear the same shoes for a lot of years,
and they got rid of it. So
Hey, you're gonna know what the grip. If they had a grip sponsor, you would just know which ones they are, and you could just buy them, so you become prepared. What are the grips for? They're to stop tearing, but do they also work? Do they actually improve your grip? Like like they sell those special towels. You put them on like jars, and it lets you grip it and take the lid off. Is it like that?
Yeah, you basically
strap yourself in.
Yeah, you basically can use just hang from your wrists and not use as much grip strength.
I bet you I've been given 50 pairs of grips over the years, and I've thrown them all away or given them to someone. I think get rid of them. Do you guys have a vote on that? Am I completely outvoted 3-1 on that? Just get rid of grips?
I don't think you should get rid of them. I think if they want to make a standard, then I agree with JR. Everybody should just put their fingers in the holes, and then that's just what we're doing from now on. If either that or there should be no standard, just do what you want to do. They're freaking grips. But I think you should have them for, just not ripping.
Spin grips or no grips?
Yeah. I think they should have the grips just because of, we've seen back in the day, these athletes have their hands shredded when they do high volume gymnastics. So as long as it's an even playing field, which I don't think anybody was saying that there was an issue or a problem with the length of grips. So to JR's point, I think there's something else that's coming down that they thought about. They just poorly executed how it was delivered.
JR, grips or no grips? Keep them, throw them away.
I still say keep them. And to me, I just think about it's no different really to me than saying, hey, you can have a certain millimeter knee sleeve and above a certain number is a no-go. Well, you can have grips, any kind of grips you want, unless they have a dowel, and then they're a no-go. That's fine with me. And just
okay.
Wear what they want.
And I will say this too. I don't care when they change the rules. To me, it's CrossFit. They can change the rules fucking like JR was hypothesizing 5 minutes for the workout. No grips, people, for this one. And I'm fine with that. I think what we all do agree on, though, is just the execution was just a fumble, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they can change the rules whenever they want to, but they need to be clear.
Okay. Let's talk about cuts. Friday there's cuts and Saturday there's cuts. They cut on Friday. How many workouts will there be after the first cuts?
6-ish.
Okay.
2 days worth, 7, maybe 8 at most.
I don't know. The first day is either like 2 events or like 5. It's like if there's a really, really long event, there's not a ton of other events. And then if there's not, then there's like a lot of events. So
and then the second cuts are after how many events?
we don't know any of that.
Whatever's on
Saturday.
So let's assume if there's 13 events, it'll be after 10 events.
Yeah.
Sure.
Everything I've heard, I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll pile in here. JR, thoughts about the cuts?
I don't like them, and I don't really want to get too much into the human aspect of it. Of these people train all year. This is what they dedicate their lives to, which are all true, right? They have sponsors that I'm sure they have bonuses based on making the games. They're only going to get to go and take a certain amount of tests. I don't really want to get into that too much. What I do want to get into is how when you cut at all, especially if you have 2 cuts, then the order of events really, really, really matters. And
extremely important.
If I'm someone that's watching as a casual fan that's maybe becoming a fan of CrossFit, or if I'm someone that just knows all the athletes and you're really geeky about it, let's just say that on Sunday, they do an event. They bring back the rope climb dummy sled. You remember that? The football sled that they used?
Vaguely. Yep.
That year. You bring that back and you load it up to a certain weight and you say, hey, they're going to do 100 yards for time. That's the workout. So they're going to push this tackling dummy the whole length of North Park Field for time, and they're going to race. And you cut Jake Douglas the day before. Everyone wants to watch Jake Douglas do that. Everyone wants to watch someone that could maybe win the workout be able to show that they can win the workout. And not only from a performance standpoint of putting on a show and showing everyone what it's going to, what it's supposed to look like or what's possible. If you have a hole in something and you make it to Sunday, it is not exposed the way it should be exposed on Wednesday when there's 40 people. So if you are a terrible swimmer and you would have gotten 39th or 40th in a workout, that's what you deserve to get. Not wait until Sunday and swim when there's only 20 people.
So are you suggesting, JR, that we can't know whether the cuts are good or bad yet until we it's something we're going to have to judge afterwards?
I don't think there's any scenario that you're going to be able to look at the order of the events and say, yep, all those cuts were done at the exact right time.
Okay.
It puts a primacy on the order of the events, and that should not be the case outside of just the natural race of it all.
A full range
God,
of
I'm
tests.
surprised to hear you say that, unless I'm not understanding. Go ahead, John.
Everything in the fitness needs to be tested at least once then before anybody is cut. And I mean, I don't know.
What about that, JR?
Like there needs to be multiple gymnastics, multiple weightlifting, and multiple monostructural events.
And that can't happen if you're cutting on Friday.
It needs to be balanced before anybody can be cut. And traditionally, the CrossFit Games, there's always a bunch of specialist events up front, and then it's backloaded with CrossFit events, typically. And you just like the Jake Douglas example is great. I think of Mertens, say Mertens is cut, and then there's like 2 events he could have won on Sunday, because that can happen. And
as we know, it's not about if Ricky beats Justin or if Roman beats Jason. It's about how many people can come in between them. And when you have a full field, you have way more chances of someone like a Logan Collins finishing Fibonacci from heat 1 or heat 2. Like you miss out on all those people taking away all those points.
You can't have a repeat of 2019. When 2019, they didn't do anything heavy and they ran 3 out of the 6 tests, and then they cut to 10 people, and then they lifted. Like it was atrocious. Like you cannot have a repeat of that.
There were too many. By the way, there were too many cooks in the kitchen that year. I will tell you that without getting into that could be a whole nother show.
Yeah.
There were too many cooks in the
I'm
kitchen.
not blaming them for what happened. You just can't have that happen again.
Do you like it, Sevan?
Let me go ahead. Let spin go, and then I'll tell you my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I went back and looked at last year, and had they cut down to 30 after Friday and then down to 20 on Sunday, like from 21st to 30th, right, entering on Sunday morning to Alpaca, like Willie George would have had a 2nd place finish in Alpaca, and he would have got 9th place on the back 9. And Karen Freyova would have had 3rd place on Alpaca, or had 3rd place on Alpaca, and 9th on Jackie Pro. And there were another, I think, 20 some odd, like top 20 finishes of those athletes that would have been cut on Sunday. So they would have affected the leaderboard. And so if you had cut to 20, you just don't have, Willie George doesn't get 2nd. He doesn't get in between people. And it would have changed slightly. And both of those athletes moved from outside the top 20 going into Sunday, and they finished inside the top 20. So they did move up, because of those workouts suited their skills better.
And I'm just not seeing what the severe implications of that are. The one thing that let me go here first. I think the cuts are fucking brilliant, and I think having 2 cuts is absolutely brilliant. And here's why: it turns the entire CrossFit Games into the sandbag event, Basically, from the spectator's point of view, there is now some drama and tension 3 times, like serious drama and tension. There's basically 3 grand finales for me as I watch it. Right.
Okay.
I
get
when they make
that.
the first cut, I'm like, it's like it's podium. They're podium finishes for me, and we get 3 of them. We get the first cut, we get the second cut, and then we get the last day. And because of that, I really, really like it. It
So you're
I'm uncomfortable, and there's more at stake. It's basically it's battle to the death, right? It adds more importance to every single event and every single day. And I don't think 10 is a lot to cut, but I haven't done the math like Brian has, and I don't know if I agree with JR, but the emotional appeals don't interest me at all. The only thing, a couple things that fucked me up. Brian Friend said on Talking Elite Fitness that one of the reasons he gave that he didn't like the cuts was the fact that it could affect people's sponsorships. I think maybe you said that too, JR. That does concern me just a little bit, right? Yeah. I do want to set the athletes up to make money. And it does suck that if I don't care that so much that what's the guy's name? Jake Douglas. It would suck if Jake Douglas lost out on a sponsor because he couldn't fucking hit it out of the park on his event. So that does at least get me thinking. But I'm a huge fan of the cuts, and none of the emotional appeals really matter to me. Were you gonna say something, John?
So your argument is there's 3 finales, right? I'm saying it takes the air out of the last and most grand finale because there's not a.
I see that. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. There could be a massive shift. I see what you're saying because all of a sudden now 17 athletes can get are viable to get in between first and second place and give us a huge swing. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You don't think you think it's that significant? You think it's with only 20 athletes? Okay.
Because
I think it's even more likely with a full field because you have those specialists. When you get down to 20, there aren't as many of those because the people that aren't specialists are usually the fittest.
The ones that made it through. And it makes mistakes even more costly. Like if somebody makes a mistake on the third to last event or second to last event or the last event, any no rep they have or just blew up somewhere, all of a sudden 15 people passed you and not just 6. Like it makes so many different scenarios able to happen. So you take air out of the last crescendo and instead of having 3 little mini ones, I'd rather have a big major one that a whole bunch of stuff could happen.
Susie, you see, you want to make it so I never invite John Young on the show again, and there he is using the word crescendo. Fucking Sousa, he hates you, Young. I'm joking. He's always excited when you're on. I made that up just so I could watch Sousa laugh. Clydesdale Media, that was good. Crescendo from a guy in a wife beater. Fucking this show. That's why this is the #1 show in the CrossFit game space. Clydesdale Media, Spin, would Laura have made the podium last year if there was the same cuts? That's exactly what I was thinking the entire time. Because we know she was getting her ass handed to her in the first half, which you'll see in the documentary, and then she came back like a boss.
She was inside the cut line both times. So I did go back and look at that because she was close.
Yeah, take that, John and JR. She was fine.
When I first heard it, I was like, well, I knew she was further back, but in both scenarios, she was inside.
I mean, we see that a lot. We see some of the best in the sport close hard, and when it comes down to Saturday, they just start their climb, and then by Sunday, they're in the top 10. It happens every year with like notable names that you never even remember. Right?
I would say if you reverse the events from this past year, Haley may not have made the final top 20 cut.
No, because she's taking last place in 2 of them, right?
Yeah, right. So you always have. I mean, the first event's has always been something long, right? Haley got first. If you had reversed it, is she top 20 going into Sunday? I don't know, but it's a lot closer than what she was.
There was 2 things. There was a comment here from Mel. Mel, don't take this as an attack at all, by the way, but it just is what it is. Let the athletes who earned a spot finish this weekend. That's the test. How is a rookie to know what a full games is like unless they compete the weekend? Like these types of arguments do like just bounce off of me. Like I don't care. I don't have empathy for any of that.
If you want the sport to grow and the fans care, then should you care?
Yeah, if the fans care, yeah. But that's an emotional appeal. Like when it's all said and done, we're all going to be just talking about the last day. We're not going to be like, oh, Seher Kai from Turkey got cut. Like,
no, but we could talk about Jake Douglas if he doesn't make it the top 30, and on Saturday night there's,
like if he sinks in the swim and the first
Something
event
heavy.
just drowns.
and he will.
Yeah, he already told us he's going to be a terrible swimmer. So he gets last place in the swim. There's one event that doesn't go his way, and then his fitness is the 22nd fittest guy. He won't make that cut. And then the very next thing is going to be a max freaking 5-rep snatch to overhead squat that he would have won, and we don't get to see it.
Let's pick on JR here for a minute. He may have an easy out here. JR, is there a paradox in what you're saying, or that your two thoughts are in conflict? On one hand, you're saying the order of events matter, but you're also saying don't do cuts. Or are those in conflict with each other?
I'm saying when you cut, the order of events matters.
Okay. So either way, you don't like
cut. It doesn't matter.
Well, it still matters. The order still matters.
It matters from like a recovery standpoint. What have you done so far in the week? Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Which heat you're in.
Right.
Oh, wow. Oh, God, Greg, you're good. The p-value for the grips is 0.0001, otherwise known as no. Fine. God, you're good. God, I love these people. Greg Glassman also agrees with J.R. Howell. Okay, how about we do a trade? We get rid of grips, but with no cuts.
Deal.
I'm keeping the grips. I'm sorry.
the thing with what John Young is saying too is with his argument. If you buy his argument, you can never cut. Like you might be able to say, okay, if with the other arguments, you can be like, okay, let's wait till the last day. Let's wait till the last event. But what John is saying is you need all the athletes so that there's this tension that there could be a huge shift. The guy in first place can now lose a full 100 points or something. There's more people who could get in between him and the second place guy. God, I don't know if that works like that.
Well, not a full 100 points, but
right.
40. He's more liable to lose 40.
Maybe not, though. Maybe your thinking is flawed there. Because if you still separate the points between 100 down to 1 with only 20 athletes, it's still you're saying there'd be less athletes that could get in between, but that doesn't take away the tension.
It depends on the event. No, because if you take the top 20, those are the 20 fittest people, right? They're the best CrossFitters, right? If there's 6 people who are extremely good at like rope climbs or something.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You're going to get rid of the outliers.
All 6 of those people get in between, and then say somebody makes a mistake, and then the 5 people that would have already beaten that person with that mistake is then there. Now that's 11 spots. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. I hear you. Mike Literis, no cuts, keep grips, cut grips. Sabir and Kelly, is that weird that they share? This needs to be a whole show. These two share a YouTube page. Can you imagine sharing a phone number with your wife, JR? Like you guys just have one cell phone with just like one number on it. Like it rang and it rang in both your phones. That's like old school. You know any couples like that? They share a YouTube account. They got both their names on there. Sabir, erase Kelly's name. I want to see what happens. Like, do you like if you have to sleep outside tomorrow? JR is so underrated in this space. I recall Hiller's video on him. He deserves more accolades. What do you want to do? Want to give him a handy?
Deserve. I don't like that. Deserves. You don't like that either, do you? So that word.
He deserves. He deserves. Sometimes I don't like it. Okay. Any topics you guys want to bring up as we get them close to the end of the show?
Did you see the guy in Brazil on the, I think, first place team? He's not getting his visa. He's been denied 3 times. Really good young athlete. on is it Templo SA CrossFit? Yep. So he actually was first place in the 16 to 17-year-old division in 2020, which obviously he did not get to compete that year. And now his visa has been denied 3 times after qualifying for the games.
Enrique Morera.
He could just come up through the southern border if he wants.
It would be easier.
Yeah. Wow, that sucks. Is that the only one like that?
It's the only visa issue I've heard of so far.
I would love to know what the reason is. Yeah, that's what I was exactly thinking. Does that make me racist? Is he connected to the cartel or some shit? Jeez Louise.
So, I mean, fortunately for the team, they do have an alternate, so they will be able to compete. But I mean, this guy was one of the best on the team.
The chat should Howie DeWitt. The chat should vote every 20 minutes to cut one person off the show. Oh, poor JR. He wants to be cut, and he wouldn't be cut. Enormous tits. He's too poor. You mean like he couldn't like pay someone? You know the thing is I don't know what it's like coming into the United States, but like for us Americans, if we drive over the border and you have a DUI, and if you drive up to Canada and you have a DUI, they'll push you right back. If you have a history of having a DUI. So. John, look at Sabir. Wow, Sabir's just handing out BJs. John Young and Fake Brian are up there too. Up there, you guys are up there, like up. You guys are up there.
I thought it was the real Brian.
I thought my name had an H, but we don't get what we want, Brian.
Oh shit, we forgot to run the phone number tonight. All right. Any other topics, guys?
No.
That I can think of.
Great show. Thank you very much, Mr. Beaver. Thank you, Mr. Souza. Thank you, JR. Thank you, John Young from JohnYoungBarbellClub.com, and Mr. Spin, who you all know as the ultimate news source for all things CrossFit at the Barbell Spin. We will see you guys tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We will have Blade, the police officer, on tomorrow, reviewing some videos, talking about police fitness, having fun. And don't worry, the Flat Earth show is coming.